that success and happiness are two separate paths. Success is beautiful, it's phenomenal, but happiness has to be equally pursued, and it's a different path. Don't confuse the two. Becoming successful is not going to make you more joyful. No matter what you achieve, no matter how you succeed, it will always feel to someone in your life that you haven't made it yet. Whether it's your parent, your partner, your friend, social media, society, there'll always be someone who feels you haven't made it and makes you feel that way. You live with the consequences of your choices. And therefore, if you make choices based on someone else's vision and it doesn't go according to your plan or their plan, chances are you're going to end up in anxiety, depression, and stress. We often think that force is the most powerful thing in the world. And sometimes when you speak to the strongest people in the world, they'll say it's not force, it's stillness. Right? Stillness is the most powerful thing in the world. Stillness creates more force than force itself, because that stillness creates clarity, it creates focus. There's a beautiful piece of Zen wisdom that's been shared for thousands of years. And what it says to us is this: that we don't realize that half the time, the thing that's weighing us down, the thing that's holding us back, is what we're holding on to. What part of your mindset are you going to leave behind today? What part of it are you going to say, you know, I might need to leave that behind. I might need to let go of that. That doesn't serve me anymore. It's not possible to always be positive. And instead of looking for positivity, I encourage everyone to look for meaning and to look for purpose. What I mean by that is, when you're going through a challenging time, if you ask yourself, what meaning does this have for my life? What purpose is this inspiring in my life? The smartest people, healthy, wealthy, or wise, choose education over entertainment. The most unsuccessful people in the world, unhealthy, unwealthy, or unwise, choose entertainment over education. When I read that study, I sat back and I just thought, wow, that means the majority of the world is setting themselves up to numb their mind, escape, and lose focus. Location has energy and time has memory. If you do something in the same place every day, that place now holds that energy. People don't realize how powerful this is. Like when I meditated in temples that were 5,000 years old in South India, it was easier to meditate because people have been meditating there for thousands of years.
Wow, it's so good.
So first thing, location has energy. Second thing, time has memory. And this is something that people underestimate. When you do something at the same time every day, you remember it and time remembers it. That's why we struggle to work out at different times every day. It's why we struggle. Like, why do we feel hungry at the same time every day? Generally, we feel hungry at the same time. Most people, if you've got a regulated diet, you will feel hungry. You will feel tired at the same time every day. You will look towards that Coke can or that sugar or that chocolate bar at the same time every day. I don't think you ever stop feeling imposter syndrome if you're growing. If you're growing, if you're learning, you will always feel imposter syndrome. Because what imposter syndrome really is a sign that you still have a skill to learn or an experience to have. So I still feel it on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis. And I don't ever want to stop feeling it because it shows me that I need to grow and I need to learn. I had a mentor who would always repeat Napoleon Hill to me. And so he'd always say to me, you become what you think about. And he'd get me to repeat it. He'd be like, keep saying that. You become what you think about. You become what you think about. And then he'd catch me off guard randomly when he'd see me and he'd look at me and be like, Jay, what are you thinking about? I'd be like, nothing. And he goes, well, you become what you think about. So what, you're going to become nothing? Like, and he just play with that. And then I was like, oh, interesting. What am I thinking about? What do I obsess over? Like, what do I keep repeating in my mind? And it was just something as simple as that started me to be like, okay, well, I'm thinking about my purpose. I'm thinking about my service. I'm thinking about how to have an impact in the world. And then I just started seeing my life change. How do I feel about myself? How do I view myself? When you're trying on an outfit or you're trying on some new clothes, the number one question you think about is you look at your friend or your partner or your spouse and you say, how do you think I look in this? And that's a substitute for asking yourself, how do I think I look in this? How do I feel about what I'm about to do? That's a step we need to take backwards in starting to at least make sense of what we want to do first before we go out to get feedback. I think we're always living two lives. One is the life you want, and the other is the life you think others want you to live. And we get stuck in between those two lives. And often we feel like we're living too far off the edge of what other people want us to live. And often we feel like we're living too close to the version we want to live. And that dance is really fascinating as life goes on. If you don't spend enough time alone every day and try to hear yourself and try to hear the words of your spiritual teachers, guides, texts, then you are only going to hear the noise from society outside, and that's what you'll end up following. If I think you think I'm smart, I allow myself to feel smart. But if I think you think I'm weak, I let myself feel weak. We let what we think other people think of us define the choices that we make on a daily basis. Someone asked me recently, they said, Jay, what do you think is the greatest skill you can have as a human? And the idea that came to my head was the greatest skill you can have as a human is being able to do something that's good for you even when you don't feel like it. Because that is the crux of life. Like, the amount of days that I wake up and actually want to go to the gym are very, very few. But do I feel amazing after going to the gym? Yes. Meditation's been a part of my life for a long time, so it's changed. I have a healthy relationship with meditation, but there are still days when I don't want to meditate, or I'm too tired or exhausted, or I'm too bored to go to sleep early. And so I'd rather think that maybe if I stay up a bit late, I'll be more entertained. And so I find that things that are good for me feel hard in the beginning, but feel great afterwards. And things that are bad for me feel easy in the beginning, but they're really bad for me afterwards. Be impatient about the small stuff and be patient about the big things. And then when you're working towards a bigger goal, you have to practice patience. And so I think what we don't understand with procrastination is that the only solution is action, no matter how small it is. And I think often why we procrastinate is because we only see a big step. We only know the big thing we need to change rather than the tiniest, most incremental, small change we can make. And so if you're procrastinating, chances are you're giving your fear or your anxiety too much of a pedestal, and you're seeing it as this big, large, overwhelming thing, when actually if you realize, I just need to do this one thing. So if you're thinking about, I need to pack for like 3 weeks of travel, it's the 3 weeks that are slowing you down. But if you said to yourself, well, all I need to do is pack one outfit today for that big event or a couple of things, you start simplifying it for yourself. And so I think the more we can break down our thoughts and our ideas and our challenges into the tiniest incremental step, the less we're going to procrastinate. Get so busy doing your thing. If you're focused on building your home, you won't have time to see what people think of how you're building your home. The point is, the mind needs to be obsessed. And if we're not obsessed in creating, we're going to be obsessed with criticism. So get obsessed about what you love. Most of the beliefs we have, they come from our parents, they come from our society, like you said, they come from people around us. And it's okay to sit down and say, where does this belief come from? So we actually have to go through each and every single one of our beliefs, our values, the superstitions, and ask ourselves, does this support the life I want? So what stops us from innovating, what stops us from disrupting ourselves, is we're too concerned by what people will think. People think we are this, or I am this. And now if I try and do this, someone's going to think that I'm confused, that I'm lost, that I don't know what I'm doing. And actually sitting in that discomfort is where all the disruption comes from. There actually isn't another way. And so acknowledging that there will be transitions in your life where people will look at you and think they don't know what they're doing. They have no clue. They have no idea. But recognizing that that is exactly the right path to take and you're in exactly the right place. I don't feel good before I go to the gym, or maybe before I meditate, or before I eat a healthy bowl of protein and food that's good for me, but I always feel good after it.
I love that.
And when I feel good before I stay up late at night and hope that we're gonna have a great time, or I feel good before I eat a pizza, or I feel good before I have loads of sugar because I have a massive sweet tooth, but then afterwards I feel the pangs of it. I think we have this pressure today to find our purpose, that you have to find your purpose by the time you're 25. You have to be living your purpose by the time you're 30. And we put all these false timelines on purpose. But the definition of purpose is that it's eternal. It's ever growing, it's ever evolving, it's being redefined.